Hello, I'm Philip. I'm your trainer today. Welcome back into Learn Tech Philo channel. If you are just new, you may hit the subscribe button, like and share with your friends. So in today's tutorial, we are going to discuss booleans in Python. So we are discussing booleans in Python. Then I'll let you or I'll discuss anything and everything that you need to know about booleans in Python. First thing you need to know, Python is a object-oriented language. So therefore, it uses booleans as an object. So they are just object in Python language. As we have been discussing in other tutorials, the same way we are going to do in this case. We're going to create a new file. We're going to create a new file. Then we can name it as .py. All right. So this is our file. All right. So we can have the same. Right. So we can discuss. We can start by definition. Booleans. What are booleans now? A boolean is just an expression that has a value which is either true or false. It is an expression that have a boolean value. So booleans value are either false or you can have true, right? They are just two boolean values, true or false, right? So those are the two boolean values. For instance, you may use comparison operators. Such as greater than, less than, equal to, not equal, greater than or equal to, something else like that. So whereby it should give either true or false. So that's all what you're talking about booleans. Right. Let's have an example here to see. So this is what we are talking about. So you can say this is says less than 17, right? So you see now, so we are saying that this one is either 12 is less than 17, right? So as you know, this is what, this is true. It is true because this is, so it should produce true. All right. So we can have another one here whereby we can have another one here whereby this is 23 equals to 89, right? 23, does it equal to 89? No, so it should produce what? False, right? So that's what we call boolean values. We can run the program and see the outcome. All right, you see now it produced true and the other one is false. You see now, so that's all what you're talking about. Now the other part, we can have another example here whereby in our previous tutorial, as we are discussing if else statement, we were discussing if else statement. We saw how you can also produce or you can output boolean values, true or false. All right, so we can have an example for the same whereby we are using if, whereby let's say this is range. We can have range there. So this is just a variable, so you can have a range there. This is 20. Then we can have if, you can say range, you can say it's greater than 18. Then we can say print the person is an handout. The person, or you can just say, let's say this is true. This is true, right? Then you can have else, whereby you can say print this is false, right? Right. So that's all you see now. So you see that age, if age equals to 20, this is if age is greater than 18, then you print this is true and this is false. By the looks, it's just like this, it is reproduced, this is true because 20 is greater than 18, right? So that's all what you're talking about here. You can run and see the outcome. You see now, it produces this is true because 20 is greater than or is more than 18. So that's how Boolean values are produced in if statement, or when you just need to put Boolean whereby you have a true or false something, then you have another option for the same. So we can see now how to evaluate. You can see now how to evaluate Boolean values. We can see now how to evaluate Boolean values, alright? Or variables. We're talking all the same, or variables. These are values or variables. We can either evaluate Boolean values or variables, right? So we can have print. As you know, when you're printing or before to evaluate Boolean or to evaluate values, Boolean values or variables, we use a bool function. This is a bool function now is one which we use. This is a bool function. Then we're talking about bool function. This one now, right? This is now what we use to evaluate our values or variables. So you just use it before you write either your string or your list or just your number or just any letter we are just using, right? We can have something else like, so you can have bold here, then you just into bracket, then you can just say hello world. So as you know, this is just a string. This is just a string. Now, if you just need to know or to print out a Boolean value for the same, then you just use a bool function before the word, before the string. You can have either a number, you can use either number, so you can have one by you have just like 9. 9, so you can use that one. So that's just a number, so it should print out true. So we'll see some cases whereby Booleans are true or where they are false. In this case, they are just true because they are not empty. Alright, we'll see some cases as we continue or we end up on our tutorial. Right, so just follow. Then for that instances, if you run your program, then it should bring out true. Right, you see now it produces true because the both cases are true. Both cases are true. if you follow half the rules that you are used when writing booleans, right? So we can have either variable, so that's just value, or then we can have variable whereby you use a letter, let's say x, then you have something else like 78, that's just a number. Then you can have y, then you can just say hello world. So this is a string and this is a number. Now you just need to print out as a boolean value, so you just need to say print, then you can use bool function, then you can just say x. For the other case you just need, so you can have bool, then you can just say have y. All right, so for both cases to print out true. All right, now that's all about how to evaluate values or variables. Now we'll look in other cases whereby you use a function to return a boolean value. How to use a function? How you use a function to return a boolean value. Right, now we'll have an example here. As we discussed in our previous tutorial on function, we said that you can, we explained on how you can return values. All function can be used to return values. All right, now we'll use the same, or we'll just use the same concept, but in this case it will not return values, it will now return a boolean value. It will not just return just a normal value, but it will return a boolean value. Right, now we can have function. This is my function. Now this is my function. Now if you have that one, then you can just say okay, this, when you say return true. All right, then you can just say print all right, so that return, see now, right, so you say return my function. Now it will print out return what, or it will just print out true because you've said return true. Right, you can use either something else like false, you can use either false. All right, so it should be capital F. So use return false, it will just return false. Okay, let's see. Right, you see now it returns false, it returns false. All right, now we have discussed how you can use, or you can just use function to return boolean values. Now in other case you may use execute a code according to the okay, you can use execute a code. All right, or just let's have something like whereby you have statement. Using this example here, we can have, let's say you've said that return what, return true. Let's say you use return true. All right, now we use return true, then you can just use an if function or if else statement whereby you say my function, if my function now, then you can just say all right, all right. Now you can say print now Python is too easy, or is very easy, very easy. Now you just need to insert it into double quotes. now because it's a string. Now the other one is just use else, whereby say that print Python is not easy, or Python is not easy. Right, now you can indent that one, so you just need to use that one. Right, now for this case we have said that our function should return true. Right, for the first case here we have said that my function, if my function, then this one returns what? If it is true, then it returns the Python is very easy. If it is false, then it returns Python is not easy. So in this case, we are expecting Python is very easy, right? Now you can run the program and see the outcome. See now, right? It prints out Python is very easy. Now, in the other case, you can just use false. You can just use false. Now, for this case, it will print Python is not easy. Alright, so it's just the same, right? Now we'll now jump or just go to something else, very different one, whereby we are going to learn about is instance. Is instant false, or is instant function. We are learning is instant function, which checks out. So this function now checks out, it checks. So is instant function now checks out whether a certain object is of a certain data type. What am I talking about? I'm saying it checks out if a certain object is of a certain data type. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Is instant, we can have either X, so this is what? Alright, this is hello world. Hello world. What do you know? Now, this one now, as you know, this is what? This is a string, alright? Now, we use a is instant to check whether it is a string. If it is a string, now it says is true. If it is not a string, now it says false, right? Now, is instant. Now, we'll use it there over there. Then now, let's solve for that. Then you can just is instant. Then you can use that one. You can use the block was there. Then you can just say X. Then you use a comma. Then you can just say str. Str is for a string. Now it is a short form for a string. Now let's run the program. As you know, now in this case it should print what? True, because this is a string. Alright, you see now it produces this is true because this is a string. Let's say you change this one. You can either change this one to a number or just change this one to a int, which is indicate for integer. So we can use that one. Then you run our program and see the outcome now. It shows false. It shows false because this is not a int. It's just a string. So and here we have just indicated int. So you can either change this one to a number. You can use 78. Then this one you just use to change this to change this one to something else like string. All right, now you can run. Now let's see the outcome now, right over there. All right, after running your program, now you see now this is false because this is just an integer. Then we have just indicated here whether, so this instant we have said that it checks out a certain object if it's of a certain data type, right? But now you understand there. Now the last part of our tutorial today, we'll be discussing some cases when values are evaluated to either true or false. Now, we'll look at some cases whereby the values are evaluated to true or false. Now, for the first case now we'll have when all numbers are evaluated to true except 0, when you use an 0. Now we're saying that all numbers are evaluated to true except what? 0. Let's say you use so you can have something else like print 6. So print 7 or 79. So that's just a number or just a big number. Then you can have print 0, right? Now this one will be true, the two of these will be true, and this one will be 0. We can use either a float. We can use a float. A float is a number with a decimal point. You can use 67.56. So this is just a float. So this also will be evaluated to true, right? But this one will be evaluated to false. So we'll say that all numbers are evaluated to true except what? When you use a 0, right? Now the other case will whereby all string, list, tuples, sets, and even sequences are evaluated to true, but when they are empty, they are evaluated to false. So, you get me? Now you've said that all sets, or let's have all sets, tuple, we can have list. They are evaluated to true, but when they are empty, they are evaluated to false, right? We can have an example here for the same, whereby we can have print we can have this is hello world, so that's just a string, so that one will be evaluated to true. Then you can have a list, the same, whereby we'll have mango, this is just a list. We can have orange, we can have pineapples, right? Alright, so this is just a list. Alright, you can have something else like print or you can just have something else like print false, can have print what, or you can just have something like ball. You can just use ball, just have Alright, these are various ways or just various ways on how you can, okay, sorry for this, this is just a mango, these are fruits. So in this case, first case, it will be true because it's a string. Okay, the other one is just a list, as you see, but this one is empty. This should be a list or a string, but it's just empty. Or you can just use a bool, then you can just say, or you can just use an empty list. All right, so this one will produce this up to this point will be false now, so this will be just false because this one is just empty, the other one is empty, and this one you have already indicated that you print out what? You print out false, right? Now, we come to an end of our tutorial today. If you are just new to this channel, remember to subscribe, like, and share. You can also visit our website, learntechphilo.com, and get covered more courses with exercises and solution, and with also really life projects. Thank you guys for watching.